Hey, joining us, eh?
Yeah, that's it. No, I've just decided now. It's the one's the receding hairline, but the second one is the grey hair. Got that?
Hi,
So
hi, hi, hi.
see you later.
How's it?
Okay, I'll see you later.
Awesome stuff.
Sorry, guys.
Awesome stuff, Alan. No, all
Uh,
good, all good. So, Coach, firstly, I just want to introduce. I'm not sure if you've met Angus before. He's well known amongst the 7's guys. All of you
and,
South African, Paul Boykies,
how's it,
know each other.
Good morning, Coach. Good morning,
how's
Coach,
it,
and
how's it?
welcome again. Thanks for joining us. Lorenzo, just quickly, is it
Yeah.
possible for you to do a split screen so all of us can feature, perhaps? I think there's an option for that as well.
I'm not sure. I did share screen. I said multiple participants can share simultaneously. So
Yeah,
let me
but just for display purposes, then all of us can feature on one set.
Yeah, so
yeah.
I can see all of you. I can see all of you at the same time.
Oh, okay, then it's fine.
Yeah.
You got the recording there. Cool.
Yeah, so I've got the
Sweet.
recording. So firstly, I want to say, Coach, thank you so much for joining us. I know it's been a busy few days for you. Now that you are a stay-at-home dad, it takes a lot of pressure,
Yeah.
to be that busy with the kids. But like I said, I'm joined by a very good mate of mine. His name is Angus Opperman. Rugby chats with Angus. He's chatted to quite a few of your past colleagues, if I can put it like that. Your teammates. And when I told him that I gave you a shout, he was like, you know what, sign me up. Where do I go? We need to chat to this man. With things happening. But
Definitely.
we're gonna jump into it. Like I said, Coach, thanks for joining. Definitely been a busy few days for you. How have you been though?
To be honest, actually, okay. I think I alluded to it in the few interviews that I did. I'm just sad. It's not something that I wanted to leave, and I think you two gentlemen know as well as I do that for people that love 7's, the only place for me to coach 7's in South Africa is at SA Rugby. There's nowhere else. There's no 7 systems anywhere. There's no worthwhile anything happening in terms of 7. So just sad there. But also, I mean, this was a long time coming. I spoke to Lynn Cantwell, our HP manager, the Sunday of the World Cup, and I said, listen, unless you guys are going to pull a rabbit out of the hat, I'm not hanging around here. There's nothing going on.
Yeah, I wouldn't want to know how that conversation went though. Saw certain dignitaries, if I can put it like that, walking around at the 7's. They were enjoying themselves. I think they were enjoying themselves more than a lot of the other people.
Yeah, I mean that's pretty much how things work. I'm not gonna say too much about it, but I think a lot of people across the board in South Africa in high positions now to enjoy themselves. I don't know how much they know how to implement things and put frameworks in place and do the job, but they know how to enjoy themselves.
Yeah, no, definitely. Let's start off with what transpired last week. You decided to hand in your resignation as head coach of the Springbok women's 7's team. Was this an easy decision? I can see it in your eyes. It might not have been. Without going into too much detail, we'll try and get some of the other info later from you.
No, you're right, Taylor. You hit the nail on the head. It's definitely not an easy decision. I mean, look, it's been 5 years of my life. Very passionate about women's 7's, very passionate about women's sport. And I think I don't know you two gentlemen very well, but I can imagine you the same. When we do something, you throw yourself into it. So yeah, just lots of emotions swirling around. But more than anything else, I did this for myself because I can't stay there anymore. I'm gonna end up having a stroke. And there's no support. And I think the toughest thing for me, and what I really touched on when I told all the ladies, was this has nothing to do with them. I wish I was maybe a bit of a stronger character, or I was coming in now, because then I'd have 5 years to work with this talented group and these great people. But in terms of things actually happening for women's 7's rugby in particular, I don't know about anything else. But I mean, I think between the three of us, that's maybe also a problem. If you're the head of a program, but there's no transparency and you don't know what the plans are, for me, that's told me enough. Either they don't respect me enough to fill me in on the plans, or I'm not part of the plans. So that was an easy decision to make.
Yeah, it's either one or two. Angus, you want to jump in with one or two questions for Coach as well?
Yeah. Look, Coach, something interesting you mentioned now there as well. When you went into the system for the first time, I mean, there was probably a lot of optimism. You were probably hoping on getting everything you need, the support from from Saru or SA Rugby for that matter. Was there any outline plans where they said, listen, this is going to be the way forward, we're going to implement this at that stage, and this is how we're going to support you? And did any of, obviously it didn't, but I mean, like, how much of that promises that they made actually came to fruition in the last 5 years of your tenure?
Well, I think, I mean, to start with, it was never even discussed with me. I went to a meeting on the 15th of December 2017 at Sorrow House, and an organogram was thrown up, and I was told, there we go, Paulie, you the new coach of the women. So it was never discussed with me. Mario Schumann and I were still planning to take the academy team to that South America, on that South America trip we used to do. And then obviously, chatted to Rassi, and I was told, there's nothing, you just get on with it. And that was quite tough in the beginning. Then at least it was better than now, gents. At least we had a full-time program. I mean, very, very little resources and things, but there was something. Full-time base, contracted group of players, full-time staff, really, really incredible group of people, so we could get stuck in. But I think the tough thing for me, and I mean, I said it then, I didn't want to coach the women because I was there with Renfred from 2015. I knew what a dog show it was. There was no resources, no investments. And then you look at a high performance plan. I can tell you guys the story now. So I was told to draw up a high performance plan. So I studied a BA. Yeah, I played rugby in a high performance environment, but I knew nothing about it. So I paid people in high performance to do a think tank with me and write a high performance plan. I then submitted this plan and was told by people at Sorry, this is not a high performance plan. So you can imagine how that started, because very few people at Sorry know what high performance is anyway.
Really. And coach, I need to jump into this quickly because I'm finding like this is blowing my mind that you have people that has been put in place in certain positions telling someone that has years of experience that has been in a program majority of their lives that this is not a program, a high performance program where your life was high performance day in, day out.
Yeah, and I think that was a tough thing for me to deal with, Luzna, because even now as we sit here, between the three of us, and it's not taking anything away from these talented young women that are playing for us, nothing in SA Rugby's women's program is high performance. Nothing. So we're delusional if we're coming up with high performance plans and things, because these ladies have never been on, and these young women, girls as well, the YTCs. It's all geared to mass participation. What in mass participation is high performance? And if you want to have high performance, let's be honest, gents, you need resources and you need investment, and that is not very forthcoming in the women's game at the moment, and in the women's sevens game. I know they're investing a lot more in the 15s game, which is fantastic. I'm super happy about that.
Yeah.
But I said it in my resignation letter, and maybe there were a couple of chuckles at HR. I said, SA Rugby is the quintessential example of the animal farm analogy, and some of us must just be happy with what we get. And keep on cracking, and that's not fair. If you're in a development environment, yes, that's fine, and we understand where we're going. But my management and I and the players are there going to play against the best teams in the world with full-time programs, full-time professional players, contracted groups, and then we're the ones that bear the brunt of the shit when it goes down.
You know what? I couldn't have said it better though, Angus.
Yeah, look, coach, you mentioned something interesting this past week. I read an article where you said that was South Africa and two other countries. I think it's Brazil and who else? Who
Madagascar.
came 14.
Madagascar and Colombia.
Yeah, Colombia. And it does make a lot of sense. I mean, for a country like South Africa with so many talented players in general, especially in rugby, you get the Leopards, you get Western Province, all these people, all these women, but it starts there if you think about it. Even their performance centers and all the resources they lack of, it does filter through to the national side, don't you think?
Yeah, but absolutely. And again, I mean, we all know it's not a secret. There's never been buy-in from anybody with regards to women's rugby. And I think it's only Western Province that have done something worthwhile in the past. I mean, the Lions have really stepped up. I know the Bulls now have Thando Manana there, and they're trying to set things up perfectly. But that's what's happening now. For me, I've been here for 5 years, even longer, since 2015 with Renfred. So I've seen the progression and the lack of progression. And it's simple, gents. I don't know. I mean, I know you can blame COVID and things, but women's rugby wasn't invested in before COVID. So that's not and then they say the commercial thing, but the commercial departments never afforded us the opportunity to make the women's system a commercially viable. So all those excuses for me are moot. Those are moot points. And I just think for me now, we've gotten to a point, gents, and I thought about it a lot. I don't know if you guys saw, and I know, sorry, I'm jumping away. Sebastian Vettel's retirement kind of announcement. Yeah. He was just saying there's certain things that are happening too slowly. And for me, it's simple at the moment. You either want to invest or you don't. It's simple. And us, we never, I mean, it's like South Africans don't understand what initial capital outlay is. So we've always done the bare minimum, kind of crept along because we've got talented people that have kept us there. But now we are so far behind. It's going to take something monumental to get us even into a position where we can be competitive with middle to lower level teams on the circuit.
Yeah. So, Coach, like you said, though, you know, we can't blame COVID because there was no investment before COVID. So I love and maybe I'm going to be someone's going to come to me and say, Lorenzo, you shouldn't be saying this, but you know, you can't be walking around now and saying that we're going to restart the program because of COVID when there was nothing before that as well. Now, I want to know from you, though. I want to know from you, and I'm going to be blatantly honest, and I might be called out for this, though. With certain powers at SA Rugby, do you think they want to see this program tank?
I don't think they necessarily want to see a tank, but I don't think they want to. I don't think they care whether it does well or not. You know, it's something on the periphery. If it does well, they're very happy because it makes them look good.
Yeah.
And I think that's what we've gotten away with for years. And I can imagine, gents, it's probably like that in your sector and the corporate sector. You hire good people that care about it, and hopefully they'll go and do the business with very little, and they'll make you look big. I mean, they'll make you look good. And I think that's the thing. So I don't think they're deliberately tanking it, but that Saru and SA Rugby are saying that it's a priority. The proof is in the pudding, gents, and there's no pudding. I'm waiting for my third course. There's no pudding.
No pudding at all. All right, you know, we put that aside though. Lots of talk as well, coming from certain and I'll put my head on a block. I kind of know where some of this was leaked to as well for media. Is the fact that some people are saying that you're feeling like this because you were snubbed for the 7's head coach job.
No, that's quite funny. I mean, I can tell you guys now is that I have found out I wasn't even in the running for that job. Never. So no one spoke to me about it ever. So I knew that. I knew that all the time. I think it was just, so that's now come from, because I did say, they said, yeah, but why was your announcement delayed and this and that? And I said, well, you know, there were a couple of things running. You know, the women's 15s were in camp and they were doing well. So I was just, you know, very, very aware of the optics and the visuals. And also, you know, I really wanted, you know, Sticky and Philly's announcement to be special for them. I didn't want it to be clouded. But I know for a fact I was never in contention for that role. I don't know why, because when I was told to do the women's job, they said that's the pathway. And the two people that have coached the women's team were not in the running for that job. So that's interesting when you're told by people at the top that that's the pathway. But again, it's also, you know, they just decide what they want to do whenever they want to do it, and they do it. So it's a very interesting one. But yeah, I mean, again, people are going to say whatever they want to say, and I definitely don't feel aggrieved at all. We'd all love to coach the Blitzboks. I mean, it's all of our dream. But Philip and Sandile are magic guys, and I think they're going to do incredibly well. So that definitely had nothing to do with my resignation. Had to do with how I've been bullied and treated badly, along with my players, and just a lack of transparency throughout the whole thing. And then people who firstly don't care about my program and don't know anything about it are going to be making decisions about my future. And I'm sorry, I'm not going to stand for that.
No, definitely. Cool. Angus?
No, you can go on with other questions, it's fine.
Yeah, Angus is going to cut that out, though. That will make it look like we just went along. Coach, just looking at it, though, if we look at the circuit itself, and this is going to, you know, it kind of saddens me. We have teams like Spain and Brazil that are ahead of us on the table. In your opinion, how far behind are we in years and experience to the top teams out there like Australia?
Yeah, Lorenzo. So that's a tough one. Teams like Spain and Brazil. I truly believe we can be competitive with them sooner rather than later if there's proper investments. But we will never catch the top teams ever. I was asked in a meeting the other day. So Louis Kuhn was in the meeting. Lynn was in the meeting. They said, "What do I think we need to start this?" I said, "We need 100 million rand a year to start for 5 years, and we probably need more if we want to go because we're gonna have to go and find athletes because we don't have women that are athletic enough to play sevens. It's just that simple. Playing rugby at the moment, you look at the type of say young female athlete that gravitates towards rugby are the ones that are not good enough to do athletics, soccer, netball, hockey.
Yes.
Those are the ones that play rugby in South Africa. Now, that's not what we're looking for in terms of sevens. For 15s, that's fantastic because we've got great 15s players, and we'll be able to be competitive. If we keep going, what people tend to say, so yeah, we lost to Fiji over the weekend, but the ladies have done well. You think of, we always work in cycles. So now you've got a proper program going, and I'm saying proper only for this year. And now we expect our ladies to go and be competitive against people that have been well resourced and been doing well for years and years. So in terms of that, Lorenzo, I know it's a pretty simple thing. We will never ever be in the top 4 ever. But if we invest properly, and I'm talking about that's like 100 bar a year, and get the best people in, get full-time programs in. I truly believe we can be in between 4 and 8. That's where we can fight, and we can do very well there. We'll end up playing in semis. We'll end up making a final every now and then. I truly believe that's where we'll go, but we'll never catch Australia, New Zealand, France, Fiji, never.
Wow. Yeah, it's weird looking at it though with our ladies this weekend, and it's Fiji's first World Cup. We've played literally about 16, 17 games through a World Cup since 2014 being the last one, and we just kind of went down. But if we look at the glimpse of player potential in the 15s team that's played sevens, then you can see the difference where they will shine and where the others have kind of not been at their best. The next thing that I just wanna ask you as well, though, coach, is that during your tenure, what would you say was the hardest thing to endure with this crop of ladies and with management? If I look at it like the structures of the administrators.
Yeah, I think that's pretty simple. It's just the lack of structure and the lack of support. We've discussed often is that we always had a top-down approach, so it's great. So we have a full-time running program at the top, but nothing feeding us. And the three of us I think we'll agree on it pretty easily. The strength of the Blitzbox program, which is the best sevens program in the world, is your academy and your feeder systems. We've never had any feeder systems, nothing. I mean, I'm going to pluck athletes from places, and then I'm teaching them how to play rugby while we must go play international tournaments. I mean, it's not sustainable. And there's no support. There's no buy-in. I mean, I always say maybe I'm a bit mad, but your best coaches should be at academy level and with the women. And in South Africa, people are not willing to do that. But in saying that, I've worked with incredible. You guys saw the Sticky helped me out now for Com Games and for Challenger and the World Cup. I mean, his energy and his willingness to put that effort in was phenomenal. I mean, when we started this year, Bafana Ntleko, who's the SA 20 coach, came to do some of the attacking stuff for me. So in saying that, I think things are changing. But again, those are just two incredible human beings, brilliant coaches, even better people that are willing to help and impart their knowledge and share their expertise. But James, like we were saying, the problem for me is the level of coaching in women's rugby in South Africa is very poor. And these poor girls are the ones that are losing out. I mean, I can't as a head coach. I mean, we do 5 skill sessions a week. We start every day with a skill session because my players can't catch and pass. Can't catch a high ball, can't pass properly, can't catch properly. Very, very low skill sets. And the only players that are at that level are the players that have been in the 7 setup since Renford was the coach. That's, Nadine Roos, Sinclair Pupa, Eloise Webb, Martha Simmers. Those are world-class rugby players because they've been in a full-time professional environment for 5, 6, 7 years. That's how long it takes.
Yeah. And it's crazy. We look at what's happening now with varsity sports, which should be the pinnacle when it comes to entry level. I don't. Yeah, you're shaking it. You probably know where I'm going to with this, though. But there was
I was there,
a
Lorenzo.
widely circulated. Yeah, I know you were there, and there was the video that was circulated of a kickoff by a player that couldn't even kick the ball. And like, coach, I don't know what goes through your mind when, and I don't know if it's maybe the nerves that everyone saw you sitting over there thinking, hey, they might be choosing us, or is it just the fact that they just not, we don't have the players on the level that we need them to be on at that age?
Yeah, a bit of both, absolutely, as you're saying. So all our kind of player development models in the women's game, girls' game, is all geared for mass participation. So they're not coached properly. So it's these talented young women that are losing out. So now this poor girl, how is she going to feel after that? She's now been ridiculed and broken. But who taught her to coach? That's her coach's fault. Who taught her to kick? That's her coach's fault. When players come into me and kicking is an art. When people come to me and we do kicking, they don't kick. You practice your ball drops, you practice your rhythm, you practice this, then you get into kicking.
Yeah.
I've never just said to someone, hey, go and stand there and kick off. How on earth can we expect that of these players? I mean, that young woman, I don't know her, but can you imagine when she started playing rugby? I guarantee you it wasn't when she was 5 or 6 like us. She probably started playing rugby at university, maybe this year or last year. And now she's expected to go and play on TV and go and have a skill set that some of the best rugby players in the world can't execute.
Yeah,
it's just wholly unfair. Wholly unfair.
It is sad, and I'm gonna say this, because of especially when it's people of color and they don't perform, then there's a lot of talk of, why are you in the team? You shouldn't be in the team. Why don't we have other people? Why are we not seeing people that are playing for, Harlequins out in the north? Harlequins has a good girls rugby program, but why are we not seeing that duplicated? And then just before Angus jumps in, I need to ask you this, though, and if you want to, you can. Is government doing enough when it comes to sports? Because remember, it's not SA Rugby's fault or their job to do junior sports. It is the government's fault, though. Are they doing enough?
Well, it's a simple thing. And again, my experience is very insular. But if I just look at women's rugby, no.
Yeah.
I mean, look at we've qualified, just us as a program. So under Renfred and then under me, we qualified for 2 Olympic Games and we weren't sent. So that shows you enough. Forget about the lack of development. When the ladies do what is needed to go and play at these top level games, we don't get sent because we're not medal contenders, or there's always some reason. And we've missed a beat there massively, because in order to grow the game, it's all about visibility. And we've never done that properly in this country. But when we had opportunities to do it, government, and that's SASCOC, didn't do what they needed to do. Because Saru there, or SA Rugby, I can give them their due. I remember Yuri told SASCOC, SA Rugby will pay for us to go. It won't cost them anything. And SASCOC still wouldn't send us.
Yeah, because you're not medal contenders. And we need to I can't get to the young girl's name, but she also got dropped by SASCOC. She's taken them to court and she won the case. And I think
that swimmer?
Yes,
that young swimmer. Yes, yeah.
So it's a precedent that definitely good for her, and I think that this might just change their minds going forward.
Yeah.
Angus, I know you've got one or two before we wrap things up.
Yeah. I actually wanted to add on to that that one answer Coach gave now. I mean, I thought back of something that happened this year, actually, at the 7's World Cup, when the Aussie girls and New Zealand girls were playing. So my little niece, she's 14 years old now, and she was with us. She never cared about rugby. She never showed any interest. But then the dad took her with. We all sat together, and she enjoyed that final so much. And she told me, Angus, take me to a game next time, but I only want to watch the ladies. I mean, now she's going to go back to school. This is a girl that excels in every single sport, but her school doesn't have women's rugby at all. So I mean, that's even where it should start for any other player. I mean, where do we start? You get Baliki rugby for boys since 6, 7, 8 years old. I mean, for girls, it's just non-existent. And where will they learn these skills? Where will they might get a love for the game, like my niece just did, but she'll go back to school and there's nothing. And I think maybe that's where we should start and say, listen, get the schools on board, tell them, listen, get women's or girls 7's or girls rugby on your program and get them that exposure.
Yeah. I mean, Angus, I should like a little example that I've touched on over my tenure with SA Rugby. So my old man's a pediatric endocrinologist. He's a professor of pediatric endocrinology. And he's explained this to me and he's helped me write things. Yeah, I know, Lorenzo, it skips a generation. So my lighty is super smart. I don't know what happened to me.
No, it's just the big words on chrono.
And
I'm not even going to try.
yeah. And you know, up until kids go into puberty, there's no reason why boys and girls can't do sport together. There's no reason, no scientific reason whatsoever. And if there is a problem, you're looking at bigger kids or whatever, you let them play in weight categories, which would help our men's rugby anyway, because our skill level is putrid. Because these kids, the big kids get away with running over people. Then when everybody catches up with them through puberty, so you look at a kid that plays under 13 Craven Week. How many of them play under 18 Craven Week? Maybe 10%.
Yeah.
Because what's done there isn't the best for the kids. It's all about winning and it's this and that. Anyway, sorry, I'm belaboring the point here. My thing is, if we're gonna fix it, let boys and girls play together. And for me, that's everything. And I tell you what, you guys are gonna laugh at me. The girls are better than the boys. They're better than the boys. Let them play cricket together, hockey together, rugby together. Let them do athletics together. I don't understand why we don't do it. Up until puberty is different, you know. Then it's tough. You can't do it. But imagine having your young girls, Angus, like you were saying, playing rugby when they're 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, and then they can decide whether they want to stay. I guarantee you, 50% of those young girls that are playing will keep playing rugby, and then the schools will be forced to have rugby programs.
There we go. No, spot on, coach. Spot on. But lastly, from my side, just to finish up, I mean, a lot happened this week. And I'm sure you probably have burned a lot of bridges. But in saying that, if by some sort of miracle SA Rugby does get the priority straight, they get the setup that, you know, you've been asking for a long time, and they do ask you to come back in any sort of capacity, be the coach, an analyst, whatever the case may be, would you consider it, or would you say, you know what's done is done?
Yeah, I guess it's a very loaded question. You're a smart dude.
nice. We need these.
No, I like I said to you guys, this hasn't dampened my passion for South African women's rugby. But like you were saying, and like I alluded to, the people that are making the decisions at the top at the moment do not care about our program. So if there are other people that come in, or other people tell me fully that this is happening, but then things have to be set in stone. Like this is a contract that must be done. I would love to go back and work with these talented women, but certain things need to be in place and be running already. Or they can get me in because I at least know what to do, and I'm not sucking it out of my thumb. I know what to do because we spend time on the World Series. For goodness sake, I chatted to Alan Bunting, who won a World Cup and a Olympic gold medal. I'm very good friends with David Courtet, who's the French coach. He's been the French coach for 10 years. So it's built a program from nothing. When you look at the French team, they qualified in 2014 with us for the World Series, and they played in the World Cup final in 2018. They won an Olympic silver medal. So these are the people I talk to. These are the people whose ears I bend to find out what they've been doing, what their programs are, what their thought processes are, how they pivot, how they move. But yeah, we want to be isolated and insular, and people at the top want to make decisions while not knowing what they're doing. It just doesn't make any sense. So definitely be open to it. But then, you know, and there's got to be transparency, gents. If you expect somebody to run a program, then how do you keep them out of the loop? You know, and they think like, what do they think we're silly? I mean, I'm not dumb. I know what's going on behind the scenes. I've been there. I done been there for how long?
Yeah.
So you know that has to happen. And again, I don't know if that's going to happen. So we hope. And I really, like we said, I mean, I love Springbok rugby. I hope the Boks win the World Cup next year. I hope the Blitzboks win the World Series again. I hope the ladies beat England on Saturday. You know, I'm not sitting here like someone who's now pissed off, bad mouthing SA Rugby. But certain things need to happen, and I'm not going to keep quiet anymore. Like you said, burn bridges, tough shit. If they're upset with me, they're upset with me for good reason. Because everything I said was true, gents. This is not a he said, she said. We all know what's been going on, and it's time for things to change, and hopefully people with I think more carry and more voice than me now need to take the fight on, and I'm really hoping that happens, gents.
No, definitely, and the way I see it, I don't think bridges have been burnt in any way. if you look at the high demand for SA coaches out there at the moment, Coach, I wouldn't be surprised if you already had like 4 or 5 emails sent to you, and you don't need to share that. But I can see the twinkle in your eyes, Frankie. One sending you messages soon. But Coach, we've got about 7 minutes left, though. He did well with Jamaica. You never know. He might just call you. He had 10. See,
No,
10
absolutely.
championship this weekend as well. Come on, guys. The opportunities are there.
No,
We've
It was a
got
good championship. I was there.
Yeah.
we've got a few minutes left. I think we've got like just under 6 minutes left, though. But I just want 2 questions. Firstly, Coach, what's the plans going forward in rugby? And can and will we see you on the circuit soon? Putting you on the spot there. And then secondly, a message to aspiring 7's players in general, and just a message to the public as well.
Yeah, sure. So I mean, I don't have anything. I don't have anything on the horizon at the moment, and I think that's quite tough for quite a few people to understand. But that's just literally how far I've been pushed, Lorenzo, and that's it. And I'm not willing to forego who I am and what I stand for just for a paycheck. And it wasn't that much anyway. So I think if it was a bit different, if you're earning what other guys are earning, we're all human. I might have thought about it a bit differently. But nothing at the moment. I must say, at the moment, gents, to be brutally honest, I am a bit jaded. I mean, it's been 21 years in rugby. I've played for 11, 12 years and then went straight into coaching. But rugby will always be my passion. It's my first love. So trying to take a step back, which is quite tough for someone who's riddled with anxiety and a bit of a control freak. So just trying to do that and just maybe seeing what else, what else is out there as well. And then, to the second part of your question, Lorenzo, I think, someone like, and I must pay a compliment, someone like Lynn Cantwell coming in, who's our new HP manager. That's a good human being, and she's smart, and she really wants to make a difference and make a change. So to the aspiring youngsters coming through, I'm probably being a bit flippant in saying you never had anything to begin with, so fucking give it a crack. You never had anything. If you come from any women's program, it's not like you had something that's been taken away from you. So if you're passionate about the sport and you believe you can do it, try and find an environment that suits you, because that's the most important thing I say to all these young women. Do you? Women for how long have had to fit into certain ways. So don't do that anymore. And a big thing for me, Lorenzo, a lot of my fight is I want these ladies to make this theirs. They must carry it through. God, men must get out of the way. It's time for the women to run this. But that's only going to happen when they do step up and they upskill themselves properly enough, and they do that. And I think someone like Lynn is creating those opportunities. But just know that it's going to take time. And I often think now in my late nights when I can't sleep, having my whiskey, I wish I was more patient, because I do think with Lynn at the helm, things will get better, but they're not going to get better now.
Yeah.
So I think that's my long, convoluted way of saying I believe things are going to happen, but things are only going to happen if talented young women are willing to play. Yeah. And the visibility increases and the optics get better and the general chat about it. And also just the product that's delivered, gents, is better. I mean, let's be honest. Rugby, and like you guys were saying, I don't know if you've been watching the URC games, and I'm a big Stormers fan. I will always be the Stormers fan. But for goodness sake, I can't get that time of my life back. Flip, man. Yeah. Friday night said, no, I can't get that time of my life back. So for me, they're competing with Disney Plus and Netflix and this and that. If we don't deliver a good enough product, who's going to watch our game? Yeah. Who's going to be interested in playing our game? So we need to be drawing those talented, athletic young women to the game to make our product good. And that's how everything will come. That's how money will come, our investment will come, how sponsors will come. So those talented young women that want to give it a crack. You got nothing to lose. And then for the supporters, I mean, I love the South African public. We have the best supporters in the world. As much as we love to win, it's something that I've realized a lot coming from a program that did win all the time, to a program that wins very seldom. it didn't matter. We were still so well supported. You always have a few dickheads that like to talk nonsense, but in general, 99% of the people have been so supportive.
Yeah.
And more so of the ladies. And that's what's been important to me, is that these young women who often come from really, really horrible backgrounds and have had bad experiences growing up are all of a sudden being hero worshipped.
Yeah.
And that's what they deserve. So a message to the public is just keep supporting these talented young women. I'm telling you now, you guys have no idea how hard these kids work, how hard these ladies work. I mean, you ask the contracted 7's players, they'll tell you that they're glad I'm not their coach, because the women work harder than they work. And the girls were never shied away from it. They were never scared to do that work. So I'm just wishing them all the best, and then Renford as well. I mean, he's such a good coach. I'm wishing him all the best for Dubai and Cape Town, and also whatever he's going to go into after that. And also the advertising post now. So I really hope they get somebody in who's passionate, but who most importantly gives these young ladies a voice and allows them to run the program, like I did.
Awesome stuff, Coach. I wish we could have more, but what I am going to arrange is for myself and Angus to have that whiskey with you in the next coming weeks. We'll have a good Friday night chat and definitely talk about Dobbo and what's happening with some of the players. Thank you so much for your time. We've got a few seconds left, so I want to say thank you to you. Angus, thank you so much for joining me as well, my man. Really appreciate it.
Thank you, Coach.
I will chat to you soon, and you keep on doing what you're doing, fighting the good work as well.
Thank you so much, Jen. Such a pleasure chatting to you, and thank you guys for this. I think for this platform, if we have good people like you guys pushing it, things are going to change, and this is the most important thing for me, Lorenzo, Angus. Thank you for you guys for giving these young women and myself a platform just to share our story, because that's what it is. These things have to come out. It's not good enough anymore that it's swept under the rug. So thank you for that. I really appreciate you, gents.
Awesome. Thank you so much. I think the recording is going to come to an end now. Coach, I'll